Chapter 26. Heading for our new lives. We've almost arrived. The landscape is rich and prosperous. Nature is like an emerald. Vast expanses of greenery bordered by immense hedges of trees alternate with patches of cultivated land, forming a gigantic patchwork of varied colors. Man, however, has allowed nature to express itself in the form of a freely meandering stream, breaking the straight, orderly lines of the plots. In addition to the hedges provided, several rows of metal plates stand proudly skyward, presumably protecting the crops from the elements. By absorbing solar radiation, they also provide a valuable source of energy. Energy source. Finally, modestly sized buildings, warehouses, farm machinery and food stocks indicate the proximity of our destination. A group of houses emerges from a small wood. Hearing us approach, a tall man emerges from one of them. He approaches us, opens the door as soon as our vehicle has come to a halt and declares with a frank smile, "Hello and welcome to you. I'm Matier, farm manager." Then he shakes our hands vigorously. "You're here in Chap, a farm village with a population of around 300. We cultivate the land here and harvest all year round. Our livestock produces mainly milk. To begin with, you'll need to choose your activity. You can't just do nothing, and you need a job." He starts with Clara and offers her a choice between beekeeper or receptionist at the village inn. And my queen has decided to serve another. She'll become a beekeeper. For me, it's either farming or construction. I don't hesitate, I'll work the land. He informs us that, initially, we'll be assigned to maintenance tasks or assisting machine technicians. If we're serious and show goodwill, you could progress. Then we enter the heart of the village, listening only half-heartedly to our guide, absorbed as we are by the beauty and originality of the buildings. I take an interest and ask, "What are these strange houses called?" Matier replies, "They're traditional huts, identical to the ones we used to find on these lands. On the outside, anyway." He smiles and points out, "Once inside, you'll see that we've managed to combine the modernism of our time with the simplicity of times gone by. But we've also drawn on the wisdom of the past. Our ancestors knew the virtues of wood, stone and cob. When it comes to thermal insulation, they have nothing to envy from modern materials. Respect for these ancestral building techniques has made our village a popular tourist destination. Chap is famous all over the continent." After a short walk, we arrive at the edge of the village and stop in front of a charming house. We climb the few stone steps that separate us from the entrance. A climbing plant covers the facade in emerald green velvet and runs right up to the roof, made of woven plant fibers, a perfect shield against the scorching rays of the African sun. Here, we enter a spacious room crammed with odds and ends, straight out of another age. To the right, a gilded wooden sideboard, with a terracotta vase from which a bouquet of fragrant flowers emerges. Next to it, a sort of pedestal table bearing two statuettes of animals, now, alas, extinct. To the left, a sofa invites us to rest. In the background, a sleek table and, just above it, a gigantic photo of Chap seen from the sky. The bedroom is smaller, with white walls and a large window through which a flood of raw light streams in. We'll be awakened by the brightness of the sun. Then Matier announces the next part of the program. It's 11 o'clock. You'll start tomorrow. You must be tired from your journey. Please rest and join me for lunch at my place in half an hour. You're my guests. We'll get acquainted. My house is the fourth on the left. See you then." He leaves, but not without giving us one last smile. We're the happiest people in the world, alone and free to discover our new home. It doesn't take long for us to notice all the features of the most modern civilization beneath this antique exterior. Gradually, a profound serenity comes over us. I feel grateful to these people for offering us their country as our new home. I wish I could thank them. Their hospitality touches us deeply. At the appointed time, we drive to our host's house. His home is larger than ours, but built in a completely identical style. There's no intercom or artificial bellboy in the house either. Matier welcomes us and invites us in. As we take our places around the table, a woman enters the room. Matier introduces us to his wife Nilia. She's a plump woman with an opulent bosom and rosy cheeks. A large square of cloth encircles her thick waist and her hands are covered in cassava flour. She smiles and gives us a warm hello. You're about to taste Jayam's specialties over a glass of fine wine. Epoxia and its cold atmosphere suddenly seem far away. We plunge into another universe. Matier fills glasses while a delicious aroma caresses our nostrils. We've never smelled anything like it. Epoxia's food was devoid of fragrance. A ray of sunlight hits my glass and the wine takes on ruby hues. The atmosphere is warm and friendly. I look at my wife. She looks beautiful in the light of this different day, this day bathed in a new friendship. I feel at home among them. We enjoy a dish of chicken and rice called yassa. It's a magical time of life. Towards the end of the meal, Matier declares, more seriously, I've had your clothes dropped off for the work you have to do tomorrow. It's time to leave Matier and his wife and head home. We return to our new home. We put away our few belongings. We look around. Then we watch out for the night, immersed in a complicit silence. We wait for darkness, sitting on the doorstep, our hands still clasped, our shoulders touching. We unite in this twilight. But now it's time for bed. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow. I soon fall into a deep sleep. The chime of the clock wakes us with a start. The unusual noise startles us. It's 6 o'clock. We'll have to separate. We exchange a kiss. Then we leave. My wife goes to her designated beekeeper and I to Matier. I follow him to my place of work, in the middle of the fields, in the open air. I feel a little intoxicated by the wild beauty of nature, even though it has been domesticated by man. For a moment, my gaze wanders beyond the hedges, beyond the cultivated fields. It flies to the end of the cobalt blue sky, bumps into a long white waterfall clinging to the side of a distant, coppery mountain. Then it loses itself in a heavy dark green forest before landing on the canopy like a bird drunk with freedom. Workers watch me approach. Most greet me with a smile. After introductions, I join the group. The hay is cut using cold lasers to avoid any risk of fire on the dry grass. Metal claws then pick up the fallen plant and swallow it. It is then tied up and stored in the skip. The work seems a little monotonous, but I enjoy the freedom, the strange freedom of serving the earth. Around midday, I receive a message inviting me to take a well-deserved break. I eat heartily, chatting with the others. At 6 o'clock, all the mowers gather. Matier is watching me, leaning against a vehicle. All the workers surround him and wait. I imitate them. Matier says, "See you all tomorrow, it's been a good day, nothing more to say." Everyone waves goodbye and heads for home. Finally, Matier turns to me and says, "I'm quite pleased with you, Nathan. You've done a good job. All the cuts are tracked by satellite and your trajectories are precise. Good for you. However, your lasers were getting too hot at times and you didn't realize it. I had to make some adjustments remotely." I answer, I'm sorry about that. Why did this happen?" He says, "Because you were going too fast, and cutting too fast increases the action of the lasers. Try to adjust your speed. Time to go home." Together we head back to Jayam. Clara is already there. She's radiant. We have a lot to talk about, then we both take a shower and, after a frugal meal, we watch the evening approach, erasing the colors of the day, slowly and conscientiously swallowing up the light, casting shadows everywhere. The baobab tree in the distance looks like a large golden tower. This heavy silhouette becomes familiar to me, and I wouldn't fall asleep without a glance at it. Our bodies entwined, we drift off into a deep, restorative sleep. From now on, the days follow each other at a frantic pace, weaving us a new life. People here have hearts big enough to welcome new friends. And in the space of a few weeks, we've made more friends ourselves than we ever had in Epoxia. If paradise exists, it's here.